Thank you guys for tuning in again to Through the Bible here at Calvary Chapel St. Joseph. I'm Chuck Rhein and excited to be in the book of Proverbs today. And my attention is drawn to Proverbs 25, verse 15. The wonderful thing about the Proverbs, if you ever go to a study, is that you're never going to be too far behind or ahead of the teacher because each proverb stands on its own. It's Hebrew poetry and not rhyming, roses are red, violets are blue kind of, but actually parallelism. That's what you're going to read in Proverbs. And there's a lot of comparisons and contrasts. And I always found 25:15 very interesting. In the New King James, it says, by long forbearance, a ruler is persuaded, and a gentle tongue breaks a bone. And it's funny, we try to do a couple of things dualistically. We try to, whenever we're reading God's Word, get an idea of the context, and a lot of the time this is going to be in a Middle Eastern setting. What does the Hebrew say? And I think that that can be difficult in the book of Proverbs. We know that Solomon wrote a lot of them, but Moses did as well. And so in this particular verse, the perspective that I've been taught regarding this verse is that we're talking about God's wisdom, which is really the theme of the book of Proverbs. Over and over, you're going to read the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And here in verse 15, if we think about a king or a leader or a ruler in the Old Testament, they often had such a amount of control over people. In a dictator capacity. I think of Nebuchadnezzar, but in this situation, a ruler is persuaded with wisdom, and the way that wisdom is presented, and it is in the book of Proverbs actually with a feminine pronoun, so it would be actually a woman's wisdom a lot of times when you read how it's personified. But here in verse 15, it says a gentle tongue breaks a bone. And my understanding is that it is very hard to discount a broken bone when that break occurs. You're not going to forget that you have a broken bone until it gets healing, until it gets set so that it regrows. And in this situation, that's what God's word, God's wisdom in a general capacity is like a broken bone. You can't escape it. You can't. I think of Stephen in the book of Acts 7, as he was sharing God's wisdom that his opponents couldn't refute what he had to share. That happened with the Apostle Paul as well. And here it's to the extent that somebody who might be in your life, somebody that seems impossible to persuade with God's word, know that it's the power of God's word. It's you plant a seed and God will come in and give the increase. Somebody else may water, but in this situation, it's always best to fall back on the power of God's word and not ourselves. And that it's going to do something to the extent where it could actually convince and change the perspective of a ruler in the Old Testament. It's that powerful. So hopefully you can dig into Proverbs and get blessed. And thank you again for listening.